Manendra, king of Sauvira, West Punjab, and Afghanistan 158 to 138 BC. Manendra ruled a large territory in the northwestern regions of the Indian subcontinent from his capital at Sagala. Menander is noted for having become a patron and convert to Greco-Buddhism and is among great Indo-Greek kings of Sauvira, West Punjab, and Afghanistan. Menander was a king of Bactria. He established his empire in northwest part of the Indian subcontinent. He founded his territory from the Ravi River in the east to Kabul River Valley in the west and from Swat Valley to Helmand. Menander's empire under the care of his wife and child had considerably weakened. That explains Heliocles' success even in comparative old age. The Saka menace from the north may have compelled him to look for a safer place across the Hindu Koh.And it is well that he did so. For a few years later, about 135 BC, the Sakas overran Bactria. That may be the probable date of Heliocles' death. Chinese sources throw light on the conditions in which the Greeks were expelled by the Sakas from Bactria. Suma-Chien and Suma-Chien did not have a high opinion about the fighting qualities of the Greeks. Menander began to issue his coinage at a fairly tender age. It is, therefore, certain that his father, Apollodotus, soon after accession in 175 BC associated him in government as sub-king. Born about 190 B.C Menander was about 15 at this time. That is just the age at which he is portrayed on his earliest coins. Later, about 158 BC, he succeeded to Euthydemid SOvereignty at the death of Apollodotus. Late in his reign, Menander got an opportunity to extend his dominions to the east. The powerful Sunga king Agnimitra died about 140 BC. Menander took advantage by attacking his successor before he was firmly established. After a bloody battle, Menander seems to have occupied the West Punjab. It is perhaps this battle that finds mention in the Garga Sanhita. The Milindapan who speaks of his visit to Sakala where he was converted to Buddhism by the Sage Nagasena. Menander did not survive long after the occupation of Sakala. None of his coins have been found from this city, though it is claimed to have been his capital. Had his rule lasted for any appreciable period, after he had occupied Sakala, we should have come across large hoards of his coins in this city. 140 BC being the date of occupation of Sakala, his death may have occurred about 138 BC. A period of 2 years is long enough for what are suspected to be his Buddhist types. Besides the wheel type, these latter include those on which Menander assumes the title Dikaios or Dharmika, Skt Dharmika. Whitehead refers to only 3 silver and 1 or 2 copper ones. 2 of the silver types are almost identical, the only difference between them being that in one Nike is depicted in her conventional form and in the other in an unconventional one. Since these types do not represent one denomination, it need not be assumed that they were issued one after the other. Coins of all denominations are to be issued each year to meet the community's needs. It is significant that the bust of the king on all the Dikaios types is that of an aged man. So it would appear that towards the end of his long reign the title of Menander on the coinage was altered from Euro-THP to Dikaios. On the basis of his aged bust alone, Menander's Buddhist coinage has to be confined to a short span of 2 to 3 years. Hence there can be little doubt that his death occurred less than 3 years after the occupation of Sakala. The date of this event can thus be fixed about 138 BC. This will give him a span of about 20 years of independent rule, besides another decade and a half for his rule as a sub-king. Issued coins, as sub-king before 158 BC BN.